and in this class, it is a different plan. But before going to the next plan, there was one particular game which I myself fell for in the IQP. I want to just show it to all of you, which involves this D4 D5 plan. Though I don't remember the game, I remember the exact line. So it was. Yeah, let me share the screen. Yeah. So in if you play Stanislav starts like this. This is the opening, and I was playing white here. Okay, I am generally E4 player, but one game I did try D4 recently, and my opponent this there is this standard setup for black where they play B3, bishop E2, castle, and all. I didn't know the theory, so I just played just like that, B3 castle, and here the theory is supposed to be bishop E2, which I didn't know back then. I just played bishop B2. Okay, my opponent was this boy Arjun Nerigasi, who is a GM as well. This was one of the online blitz games. I couldn't find that game, but I knew how the opening went, which is what I want to highlight. So here, suddenly black played E5, and I took CD5. He took CD5. I played DE5. He played knight E5, and I played bishop E2 here. And he blitzed out. Okay, let me flip the board. He blitzed out knight into f3, bishop into f3, and straight away he played d4. This came as a surprise for me. Of course, it was online blitz game, so I didn't get so much time to think. I thought there is no other way, so I have to take this. And my opponent played rook e8 check. And here I realized I'm in deep trouble because if I play something like knight e2, there is always a problem with bishop g4, and there is bishop b4 check problem. Yeah, I think bishop b4 is much better. And for example, if I play something like bishop c3, queen d4 is very strong. Or you can even play bishop f5. This is even better. So I suddenly realized I'm in trouble. And in my game, I played king f1. And after this, he won quite easily. So I don't want to. In fact, I don't have the game. But I remember he just outplayed me very easily because I couldn't play g3. There was always bishop h3 check coming up. And I was in trouble. Later, I checked the database, what this was, and I was surprised to find out this was a standard opening mistake for white here. So, and I found this very nice game of Shiro where his opponent played bishop e2 here. Shiro went bishop g4. Opponent played castle. Suddenly, he went for a shot bishop h2 check, king h2, queen c7 check, g3, rook into e2. As you can see, the game is already over. Next move, Shiro played queen to f5, queen to h5, and so it's like game over. Now, why I am showing you this one? Basically because this plan which we discussed in the last class, d5, d4 with IQP, there is a line like this, and it's an opening trap in a very popular line in Semislav. So this is something which you have to watch out for. And by the way, there is a Karpov game also in the same line. Karpov was one of the first ones to lose like this with white in 1984. Let me just see that. Sorry, not Karpov, Korchunai. So Korchunai also fell for the same trick here. He should have played bishop e2. Okay, but this is the opening mistake, theory mistake. He played bishop b2. Suddenly, his opponent played e5. His opponent was Russian grandmaster Alexander Belyavsky, and Karchunai played cd5, and he went for this pawn grab ed4. And after rook e8, he did play king f1. And now came queen a5. Idea, just bishop f5. Korchnoi played queen d1. Now came bishop b4. See, if you can see, it is black who is trying to gain the initiative, who has the initiative already, isn't it? Because of one pawn. So this break d5 d4 is a is a standard plan, not only in the middle game, but in some of the openings as well, which you should be aware of. Okay. So those two things I had to show. Now let's move on to the new plan, which is f4 f5. Play on the f5. So I want to show the game of Spassky versus Yuri. I don't know the full name, Nikolovsky or something. This is a quite famous game. And the position starts somewhere around here. Okay. So here, Spassky played queen e2. See, one thing you have to observe, one thing is quite common when it comes to f4, f5 plan. That is this bishop on this diagonal. Whenever it's on b3 or c4, one advantage white gets is f4, f5 break. See, now you can ask where to keep the bishop. Is it better on b3, this diagonal, or this diagonal? This diagonal also has an advantage. You get shots like bishop h7 at some point. So that was my argument. It's just impossible to say where it is better because they have advantage and disadvantage on both the diagonals. So here, if you keep it on this diagonal, basically you have f4, f5. And here his opponent played knight to b4. So again, this is one more standard plan. Here he wants to secure the d5 square. So he wants to put the knight on d5, either this one or this one. White played knight e5. And black played b6. So wanted to go bishop to b7. And this is where the whole thing starts, which is so now if you go direct bishop to b7, Spassky was intending to play f5. So opponent played knight f d5. Now question, should white move the bishop and maintain pieces, or should he ignore it and play something like, let's say, rook d1 or something like king h1, any random move? Should he keep the bishop, or should he move the? Should he not move it? That's the question. So please think and tell me. Okay, many are already written. Others can start writing. Uh, okay, so Gautam says f5. Amin says we should keep the bishop. Uh, Priyanka says, I don't know what Priyanka says. Raghavesh says keep the bishop. More chances for attack. Knight d5 by Akshaj. Save the bishop. Save the bishop. We have save the bishop moment. Um, Ravi sir wants bishop d3. So he wants to give both the bishops. Uh, There is no point in keeping it, Alan. His knight is very active on d5. Okay. Keep the bishop. I can see most of you are writing keep the bishop. And some of you want to go with rook d1. See, guys, again, this is the point. And this is where it becomes difficult with the whole IQP topic. Remember, in general thumb rule, we would say don't exchange pieces. Don't allow, if you have the IQP, it's better not to exchange pieces. Here, precisely, you should, do the otherwise. You should allow black to exchange the pieces. Why? Because the simple reason that the bishop is on this diagonal. Some of you pointed out that like the knight is well placed. If he gives the knight, then it's actually advantage for white. So which is what Spassky did as well. He just played rook a d1. The point is, if you take knight into e3, I'll be happy with this because next move f5 is a very strong threat. d5 is also a strong threat. f7 is somewhat weak. And let's say if you play a move like knight d5, turns out to be a blunder here because now I'll take bishop d5, e d5, knight c6. So if knight d5 is not possible, then let's say if you go something like bb7 to stop d5, then always this knight f7 works. And this is one more observation of mine. When you're playing on f file, right? When you play something like f4, knight into f7 shot is something which you always have to look out for. Because the moment you get f4, f5, it works. Now, some of you may have this question, where to put the rook? Better on f1 or e1? See, rook, if you keep it on e1, knight into f7, there are many examples. If you keep rook on f1, same thing. You go f4, f5, again knight into f7 works. So knight into f7 is a common thing wherever rook, it doesn't matter. As long as, e6 is not protected. So again, all these positions, there is no general thing. You just have to keep on uh, upgrading it according to the position. Some position requires the rook on f1, some position requires e1. So it
But
is
in
hard.
the F4 F5 plan, rook is better off in F1, no? On F1.
No. I am telling if you want to combine it. See, if you play f4, f5,
Yeah.
knight into f7 is something which will work.
That's okay. That's
But
okay. But the
if you
rook
have
position.
rook on e1, that
Yeah.
time also knight into f7 works. That time knight into f7 is even more powerful. There are
Yeah.
examples which we will discuss. So
Yeah. But
if you go by
F4
that
F5
logic,
plan combined with F4 F5 plan, rook will be better on F1, no?
yeah. See, that's what. If you keep rook on f1, it helps you with f4, f5. If
Yeah.
you keep rook on e1, it helps you with knight f7 more.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Okay.
So here he took queen e. Sorry, he didn't take knight e3. He played bishop f6. Again, if you see, white is just waiting for black to play bishop b7. The moment he does this, white is ready with f5. Okay. So black plays bishop f6. White again waits with knight e4. And finally, white decides to go with bishop b7. And finally, we get our position, which is f5. Now that you have the rook on f1, certainly does make more sense. Black took ef5, rook into f5. Now, as you can see, there is a huge pressure on the f5. And next move, he's going to even bring the other rook. And knight into f6 is something black has to watch out for. So as you can see, there is a huge pressure on the f7 pawn. So black played knight e3. And after he played knight into f6, g into f6, queen into e3. And yeah, white here managed to win the game. So I think further is not relevant. If you take the knight, which is what happened, white just took queen into e5. So there is this threat of rook g5. And if you play something like h6, which is almost forced, rook f6 wins. Because next move is playing rook f1. There is rook h6 threat. There is rook g6 met. So combining with all this, it was impossible for black to defend. So this position is already lost. So how this happened? If you keep f4, f5, and you have to understand two things are mainly required if you want to execute f4, f5. One, bishop on this diagonal, that is the most important thing. Second, if you have rook on f1, it does benefit a lot because when you are playing f5, e5, you want to take with the rook. So if you can see a position where you can keep the bishop and the rook here, or if you have the bishop and rook in the same diagonal, you can consider playing f4, f5. Okay, so moving on to the next example. Yeah, this one, the next one I'm going to show you is quite a famous example. I have seen this number of times. I've seen this quoted in quite a few books and whatever. I think for those who have already attended some classes on IQP by any normal player, they would come across this game because it's a standard one. And generally, my observation is if you want to pick a classical player, right, former world champion, uh, from my observation, Botvinnik is the one who has many number of games against IQP, and many of his games are quoted as instructive games to fight against or to play with IQP or without IQP. Basically, Botvinnik is someone who handled IQP well from both the sides. And this is the question again, the game between Botvinnik and his opponent's name is Widmar. And the game starts somewhere around here. Basically, again, if you can see, the key factor here is the bishop is maintained in this diagonal and rook is still here. Now, if you ask me where to put the rook, is it better on f1, e1, d1? Well, each move has an advantage. If you put it on e1, there's always knight e5, knight f7 becomes more powerful. If you put it on d1, d5 becomes more powerful. And if you put it on f1 only, f4 becomes more powerful. So is there any specific position I can tell you where to put the rook? No, because each one has advantage and each one has disadvantage as well. It all depends on how your opponent reacts. Right now, white is just maintaining the rook on f1. Okay. Black played knight b d5, and white did play knight e5. See, the moment you get to play knight e5, right? You should always this move should always ring bell, like because you get to play f4 f5. So and yeah, this is one more important thing. Generally, these positions I have observed. Try not to move this rook, f1 rook, because if you get to play knight e5 directly, then you can always think about f4 f5, correct? So it's better to keep option for this rook all the time. If you want, you can develop this rook, which is slightly better. I mean, you can keep the options open. That's what I'm telling. Here black played knight b d5, white played knight e5, so f4 f5 is coming. Black played bishop c6 and white played rook a d1. Black played knight b4, queen h3. See, now you can see that there is a shot coming up, knight f7. So white hasn't even started with f4. Before that itself, having knight on e5, you should always look out for knight is f7 shot. And black here played bishop d5. So white took knight d5, knight d5. Now comes our move, f4. Again, same features. Knight is on e5, bishop on b3, looking at this diagonal. Rook on f1 well placed, hoping for f4, f5. Okay. Black played rook c8. And white went f5 anyways. So finally, we achieved what we wanted. His opponent here actually could have played queen d6, which was definitely better. Now, like last, we had this question, right? Last question. So he asked, why not leave the pawn like that? Here, that apparently was the best option for black. See, by playing queen d6, his pawn structure is ruined, but at least, the pressure is less compared to taking ef5. So, for example, white would play now rook e1. Job is done in this file. So then you can always transfer the rook and keep an eye on the e6. And the game goes on. Black will play rook e8 and slightly better for white position. But instead, black decided to take ef5. And white took rook into f5. Obviously, now you can see that there is a problem with black's coordination, and the rook is also coming right here. And there are many plans. Bishop f6 is a plan. Knight into f7 can be a plan. So there are multiple ideas here. Okay, so black played queen d6. So now you have to think for white and tell me what to do. For those who know this game would be able to tell the move, but I don't know how many of you know this one. This is a very famous game, Botvinnik versus Vidmar. I can see most of you know this game, but few players still didn't find it. Okay, so yeah, most of you wrote the correct answer. Botvinnik here just took knight into f7. Just wins on spot. Now you have to take rook into f7, and otherwise king into f7. I have bishop into d5. So rook into f7 is the only move. Now comes bishop into f6. Very simple. If you take with the knight, just rook into f6, game over, because I'm also aiming at c8, and f7 is also a target. So black took bishop f6, and after rook d5, here he resigned. Rook d5, queen c6, but then he played rook d6. So this is under attack, and next move he played rook d7 and he was winning this also. So he won quite easily, and it's all started with f4 f5. So again, this position, when you see once the rook comes to f5, you can see that knight into f7 is always a target, and bishop d5 or bishop into, the tactics along that diagonal, something you have to watch out for. And if you can combine it with bishop on g5, it becomes much easier. So Sol f4 f5, this one particularly is the instructive game shown in almost every books, and most of the IQP topics discussed. F4 f5 plan, they will say this Botvinnik Vidmar game is a regular thing.